Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Spring is coming here in Australia, which means strawberry is now in season. One of my favorite toppings for cake is strawberries, so I'm going to make cake with strawberry today. As always, I whipped fresh cream and mascarpone cheese and spreading on top of the cake. Then put the sliced strawberries on top and cover with fresh cream. I like fruits in general, but strawberry has really vibrant color and unique shape, so it's my favorite fruit to decorate cakes. Now put another layer of genoise. Moisten genoise with sugar syrup and cover with cream. Put sliced strawberries on top and cover with cream once again. I've been making cakes so many times in my life, but decorating a cake is so difficult. I thought I'd get better if I make over and over, but I admit that my artistic skill kinda lacks. I'm saying this because I put so much effort to ice the cake, and it was at a satisfactory level for probably the first time. The consistency of the cream was good, and I was able to cover the cake neatly. Cream icing is done, so I'm going to chill this in fridge. While the cream sets in fridge, I'm making strawberry ganache to use as topping. Heat cream and strawberry sauce in microwave. Add white chocolate and melt with remaining heat. When the ganache becomes smooth, I put it aside to let it cool down and thickens before I pour it over the cake. As soon as I poured the ganache, I knew it ruined the cake. The ganache wasn't thick enough. The dripping became thinner and thinner, so I cooled the cake for a bit in the fridge, but somehow it didn't thicken the ganache. I think the strawberry sauce makes the ganache thin, so no more of it next time. This wasn't as planned, but I had no choice but to change the cake from ganache drip cake to ganache topped cake. Then I cooled the cake once again in the fridge and piped fresh cream around the cake. Lastly, I piped some fresh cream on the cake. And decorate with strawberries. The cake doesn't look as I planned to make, but the outcome isn't too bad, thanks to strawberries. And the taste was so far the best out of the strawberry cakes that I've ever made, so I was so glad. I had low sugar choc-chip for ages, which I couldn't decide whether to make muffins or cookies. But since it's aging, I'm just making cookies. First, soften the butter, add white sugar and brown sugar and mix well. Then add an egg and keep mixing. The recipe advised to gradually add the egg, but I just added it at once. Add vanilla paste and corn syrup. I used no sugar syrup because I'm using low sugar choc chips. Sift flour into the cookie mix. Mix the ingredients, but it doesn't need to be thorough. When the flour is almost combined, add choc chips and mix. I left some of the choc chips so I can put them on top of the cookie just before they go into the oven. When all the ingredients are combined, store in fridge for at least 30 minutes. Whenever I use the oven, I like to bake genoise because I use them so often to make cakes. But it's probably not so wise for me to bake many at once because I added milk powder instead of sugar. It was lucky that only 5 grams of milk powder was added, so I continued to make the batter. Put the mixer on high speed until the eggs become pale and double in volume. Sift flour into the egg batter. Fold the flour into the batter. The pockets of the flour are hard to get rid of, so I need to mix really thoroughly until the batter is smooth. Pour in melted butter and milk. Fold the batter until it becomes silky smooth. Pour half the batter into one of the cake pans. Drop the cake pans few times to get rid of air bubbles. In the leftover batter, add purple food coloring. I'm making colored genoise so I can store it for rainbow cake.
이게 보라색이 맞나? 보라색이라긴 좀 너무 약한데?
I added a few more drops of the coloring because the purple was so pale. Hopefully the color is pretty when it's baked. Tap the cake pan a few times and bake in the oven. While the genoise is baking, I scooped out the cookie dough onto baking tray. Top with the leftover choc chips. I added some milk chocolate bits as well, as I hadn't had enough low sugar choc chips. Genoise is done, so I took it out and put the cookie tray into the oven. I put the cake pan upside down and let it cool. The baked genoise, however, was strange because when I tried to reallocate the cake, it didn't move. I didn't want to break it, so I held it up and put the cooling rack upside down to see what's going on. The top part was rather sticky, so I brought skewer and checked if the inside of the genoise is baked through. The basic genoise seemed okay, but the colored genoise seemed uncooked, so I put both into the cake pans again to bake them a little longer. And these are the warm choc-chip cookies out from the oven. Freshly baked cookies are so soft, so I'd be careful to transfer them to the cooling rack. My preference for the cookie texture changes all the time. Sometimes I like chewy cookies and sometimes I like soft cookies. This time I used recipe for soft choc-chip cookies. The next day, I made another strawberry cake. It seems like lately I'm having cake every week. The genoise I made the night before is smaller than usual, and the top part is still quite sticky even when it's fully baked inside. I wonder what went wrong because I'm using the same recipe that I used every time. Anyways, like the ganache strawberry cake made earlier, I'm covering the genoise, put sliced strawberries, covering again with cream, and repeating the process. This time I used different tip and piped cream on top of the cake. I like the design of the tip, but I'm still getting used to it. I like to watch cake decorating videos, And those cakes seems to be done so effortlessly, but still beautiful. But when I try myself, it's just chucking strawberries on top of the cake. I had no idea what I was doing. So this is it for today, and thanks everyone for watching this video. See ya!